Hey everybody, this is Giancarlo Alino reporting for Sportskeeda MMA, and I am happy to be joined by my guest today, who's going to be recapping his impressive win at Bellator 291. He is one of the top-ranked featherweights in Bellator. He's Jeremy Kennedy. How you doing, Jeremy?
My man, thank you very much. I'm doing good.
And Jeremy, you're coming off a very impressive win there in Bellator, in Ireland too. You went on enemy territory. You took out their
Yeah,
hometown guy. Just talk to us about your feelings on the fight and what you thought about your performance.
yeah. It's never easy when you're traveling, foreign country, and I haven't done it in a few years now. I did it quite a bit earlier on in my career. Fought all over the place, but then after the pandemic, well, I had the PFL season that was all in the U.S. and that ran right into the pandemic that lasted, 2 years. So it had been about 3.5 years since I had traveled overseas to go fight. And there's always little things that can go wrong with the weight cut. Everything has to be precise. So it's never easy, but once you get there and you experience a different culture and a different crowd and that energy, man, it was incredible. I love Dublin. Mission accomplished. You getting over there, got the win, and I felt good in there. If Bearing all the circumstances I went over, I had a little bit of trouble with my sleep and my rehydration, just the recovery aspect. Like I wasn't injured, or I was injury free. Felt great. I had a good weight cut. It was just little things that went wrong that kind of, you know, affected my gas tank and just the way I had to fight. So bearing that though, 30-27, you can't be upset at going into somebody else's hometown and dominating them and winning every round, So I was happy. Can't be too critical. You got to enjoy it as well.
Yeah, you mentioned a great point there, like sleep and just everything recovery. It's going to be different when you're traveling overseas because you're getting your body acclimated there. So did you go earlier to Ireland, or was it just that week? Like, how did you manage that throughout the week?
Yeah, like we went out a couple days earlier, like the Friday. So we landed Saturday the 18th, like a full week prior, which helped. But I mean, you don't really adjust to that sleep cycle, and the weight cut is the most important part. It's different foods, different atmosphere, everything like that, and it still was all good. Like I had enough time. I planned accordingly, but yeah, it was just my rehydration. I overthought it, and I was trying to make like certain things changed up this time, and that eventually affected me. But overall, we did it right. We did it the amount of time to go over there. I rented an Airbnb. We stayed out of the city a little bit with E, Kai, and Eddie, my team. We got the workout in, found a gym close by, jungle, jiu-jitsu in Dublin. So it was very cool. But yeah, overall, it was a successful work trip, man.
And also, like, just looking at your record there, and there's some of the fights, locations you've been at. Canadians have that aspect about them, that notion, very polite, but you're going to enemy territory and you're being the villain. Are you enjoying this, being the villain? You did it with Volkanovski in Perth and now Pedro in Ireland.
Constantly, yeah. We went to Brazil, Fortaleza for Honey Jason. It was his hometown in Brazil. Went over there and went to Saudi Arabia and fought Murat, who is a very Muslim country. It was almost like a hometown thing for him over there. So that's just the part of the journey, man. It's been very cool to see big part of the world, on fighting. Going over there and doing what I love and get to travel and see different cultures and being the villain is all part of that. Nothing's gonna be worse than Brazil, and that was my first one. So it's all good. Since then, it's been a cake. They're passionate like Australia and Ireland, but it's just noise. They're still respectful. I wasn't getting too many boos. Brazil was the only time that it was like fear for my life. So it's good.
And I like how you sold this fight too, because we saw all the interviews you've done where you're talking about Pedro, and in the cage too. After the Pico fight, you were talking about Pedro and saying that you were coming for him, and they really played that up. Like, do you think that helps in terms of you becoming this star now for Bellator, where they're going to really take into account, like, you should be deserving of a title fight because you can sell these fights?
Yeah, man. I think that's always important. You got to have both aspects, and that's just me. I'm not even putting on a front. That was like, yeah, I wanted Pedro right after that fight. He was the one on my mind, and it all worked out. Timing was a big part of everything too. They need an opponent out there. He was talking smack to me, that week leading up to my fight with Pico. So he was fresh in my mind, and that was the one. And then now we got we got Pitbull on the horizon, and we're getting ready to dog walk him too, man. So it's all good. I think Bellator knows that's the fight.
Yeah, like I think just looking at the rankings too, like Pitbull has fought all those guys, and like Pico, I don't know where he is with his shoulder, but have they told you anything after your fight with Pedro that Pitbull and you is going to be fairly soon, or is he still looking at maybe going down to fight Sergio Pettis or the Bantamweight Grand Prix winner?
Yeah, I think that might be. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know the ins and outs about. I think he might be going down to 35. Regardless, I know I'm the next guy at 45. So if I have to wait, that might be what happens. If not, I'm ready to go right away. Like I said, I'm already back in the. I mean, shoot, we're in the gym right now, so I'm ready to go as soon as they give me the green light. But if I have to wait, I've worked a couple years for this title shot and I've earned it. So if I have to wait, that's what I'll do, and no issue there. We'll see. But regardless, that next 45 title fight is going to include me, regardless. No matter what time it is, when it is, where it is, I'll go to any corner of the earth to fight Pitbull. So we'll get this job done.
And just even on that, like, I know they're going to probably look at different scenarios. Like I know the UFC did something similar with Volkanovski when he moved up. They made an interim title fight on the same card. If they came up to you and said, we want you to do a rematch for an interim title with Pico, would you be okay with that, or would you prefer the actual undisputed championship fight instead?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough because I think Pico has work to do. It's not like I'm that fight can happen at any time. It's just more, what am I gaining off of his last fight with me, and it was the loss. So I've gone on and I fought a guy ranked higher than him and won. So I feel like if I were to do that, it'd be fighting down essentially. I mean, if he were to come back, get a dominant win, and now he's in the title picture again. But or if they came to me and said, let's put a title on the line for this, I'm game. But I've done so much work and I fought so many guys ranked above me, and at any time, their timeline, any timeline, anywhere in the world. And so I just feel like I've really deserved that title shot. I've been, it's been billed as a number one contender fight a couple times. Had Pico won, he would be fighting for the belt, so I won. I had to fight Pedro, and that was billed as a number one contender. I had won that. So I feel like I've paid my dues. So as long as my next fight's for the gold, I don't care who's across. Pitbull would be a dream just because he is the GOAT and he is the number one, like the champion, right? But if it's an interim title, we can do that too. Against anybody. Borix is still up there. I owe him a rematch. I know he was injured. So there's a few guys, guys on the list there. And if that's what they want to do, I'm game. I would love to fight earlier. So an interim title on that same night would be ideal. But if not, it's all good.
And 145 has been like where you've really done well at right now in Bellator. Just looking at your career, like you fought at different weight classes before. So 145, what makes you you think perform the best at this weight? And do you have any aspirations of maybe moving up or down in the future?
Yeah, definitely not down. There's no way I'll ever make 35. I made 35 when I first debuted, and I was like young kid, 20 years old. Not a lot. Now I'm full strength. It takes everything for me to get down to 45, and it's a long, strict diet camp. And if anything, 55 would be fun, but you're running into guys that are doing what I'm doing to get to 45. So there will be a size discrepancy. If 55 was an option, I would have to take some time off and put on the weight properly and come back as a legit, and pretty much kiss any dreams of 45 away, just because of the weight I'll have to put on and put it on strong and solid will take time, and that'll pretty much be closing the door for 45. So right now it's pretty much all steam ahead at 45. I've done a lot of work in this division, climbing these ranks. I know the division. I've scouted all my opponents, the whole from 1 to 10 in Bellator. I've seen all their fights. So I've just done a lot of homework. I don't want to have to start fresh again at a whole new division. And maybe down the line, once these cuts become too hard or whatnot, or it starts affecting my performance. But as it is right now, I've got it pretty dialed in, and I know my weight. I feel strong and good. I don't think there's many guys that are bigger than me at 45. With my height and my strength and my build, I fill out really well. So when I'm in the cage, I put all that weight back on, and I'm always the bigger guy. So I feel like for right now, the 145 is my home.
And like just even now, like you're training right back in the gym right away. So the work ethic's there. Are there any fights that you're looking at, like maybe not even in featherweight, but just on the horizon, whether they're in the UFC or Bellator, that as a fan you're most looking forward to seeing?
Man, I think this Bellator lightweight Grand Prix is unreal. Like you look at that lineup, and every one of those fights excites me, and I'm excited to see who goes all the way to the end. You know, you got like Tofik and Usman in there, and Alexander. It's like the list is crazy, you know. And I'm really excited about that one. I'm excited for. I'd like to see Vulcan and Yair get booked pretty soon. That would be a cool one. And for featherweights, I like Holloway and Arnold Allen. That's a fight that's going to be a banger, and I'm interested to see how Allen, you know, deals with Holloway and Holloway's pressure. And yeah, that's a good fight too. So those are like the ones for me as a fan right now around my weight that I'm most interested in.
And in your gym there, you're preparing, helping some teammates. So what are some fights in your gym that are on the horizon that you guys are all excited for?
Yeah, we actually, it's just funny. I almost like overnight. Well, Kai's been scheduled for a while. You know, he helped me out last half of my camp, last 4 weeks. And it was all about me. And then as soon as my fight was done, now the shift in the focus turned over to him. And it's all about him. His fight's coming up now. I think we're about 6.5 weeks out, which is great for me. It gets me right back in the gym, helping him out, returning the favor. So he's the fight that I'm actually looking forward to. I go back to my last answer, and he's the fight that I'm most looking forward to, but the most invested into anyways. Julian Erosa just got another fight. He's booked, you know, so there's another 45er that's fighting close to, you know, Mads Burnell. He's fighting on that Hawaii card. You know, he's got his fight booked. And so it's just exciting times. And, you know, Dan Ige came back and he's looking to get booked soon. Cody Stamen's booked. So there's a lot of good guys around our weight. You know, Patchy's fighting same weekend as Kai. He's in the gym getting ready. So 35s, 45s, 55s, man. We got a whole line of killers getting ready for fights right now.
Yeah, it's like exciting time. And even for yourself, like I know in Bellator right now, there's some Canadian talents like yourself. Aaron Jeffries is another one that's up there. What's it going to take to get Bellator to? What's it going to take to get Bellator to come to Canada? We're all looking forward to that.
I know, man. I'm trying. It's all I got to do is win fights and become this star that they can promote in Canada. You know, we got to be big enough to be able to sell out. And I think if they were to come to Vancouver, we could get the job done. You know, Vancouver, even on the East Coast, you know, it's the bigger cities, Toronto and whatnot. I think we definitely, you know, Bellator has a pretty good foothold in Canada. So I think with just the talent they have, you know, so I think if they were to come right, we could definitely make a good show up there. You know, I'm in Vegas now, but Canada's home, and that's where I definitely want to fight, you know.
I agree with you. I'd love to see that. And biased, obviously, Toronto, if they come here, you know, I'd love to see that.
I heard the accent, believe it or not. I think I've been down here long enough that I can pick out Canadian accents. Funny, man.
And, just before we wrap up here, we're gonna do some quick fire with you. Some general questions. You can tell us the first name that comes to your mind, or even if you have a story about it that you can share there. But first one is, who is the best striker that you've come across?
In the gym?
Yeah, in the gym, whether you're fighting them or even in sparring, that really put you to the test there.
Best striker. I mean, oh man, that's a tough one. There's a lot of guys tricky. Size, like pound for pound, I would say Manel Cape. He's tricky and good. He's a little bit smaller, but that guy's footwork and agility and athleticism, he's up there for sure. But then you got Ige, he's got the power, you know, and Natan Levy is just crafty with his he's a southpaw and taekwondo style. So there's a lot of different looks. It's hard to just narrow down one, man. We got so many good guys in the gym.
Who is the best grappler then?
Probably Islam Makhachev. Yeah, it's pretty hard to go around that. He's a bear. That guy gets a hold of you, and it's a nightmare for anybody.
Who's the funniest in the gym that you've interacted with, maybe at a fight or at an arena that you met before?
Funny. I don't know, man. Strickland says some pretty crazy shit. I think it would have to be probably Strickland.
And then on the flip side of that, who's the most annoying that you think in the
MMA? I don't want to start a fight here, bro. I can't say that one. I plead the fifth.
That's a great answer. Who would you most like to have dinner with? It could be a fighter, past, present, somebody that you've always wanted to meet.
Probably BJ Penn. The OG. He was my favorite all growing up when I started watching the MMA, which got me into the MMA and jiu-jitsu, and what I started in was BJ Penn. You know, I liked his shorts with the black belt on it. I was like, damn, I want to do that. And I love his style of being able to box and just be able to sub guys off his back. So I liked him and his attitude towards fighting all growing up. So the legend BJ Penn for me.
Great answer. Who has the coolest tattoos that you've seen?
Probably Kai. Those Hawaiians, man, they got some real cool artwork, you know, and I can't do it. I know it doesn't fit my profile, but it looks cool. Him, Brad Tavares, you know, Ty Werder, all those guys got real cool ink.
And okay, this is an interesting one too, because you never know. You are playing a villain sometimes by going into enemy territory. So who would you want by your side in a street fight in case something, something comes awry there? And you need to...
I'll take the big man Francis. I'll have to take him with me. I think I'm pretty covered there on all bases. He counts as like 3 guys, so it's all good.
And couple final ones here. Who has the highest fighter IQ?
That's a hard one. I think when you look at like reads and guys who like really stick to a game plan, you got to look at Volkanovski or Peter Yan. Yan is like one of those guys that he'll be in a firefight, but he's still like not throwing a lot, just catching reads, and then he really comes on late, and you can see what he's doing in the first round reflects to what he's doing in the third, rather than just taking the fight as it goes, which 90% of fighters do. And then Volkanovski for just how he has a game plan, and he does not get deterred, and he just doesn't make any real, he's super calculated. So one of those two for sure.
And final one here. Who's a dream fight for yourself, and who's a dream fight for you as a fan that you'd love to see?
Dream fight for myself is Pitbull. He's a GOAT, man, and that's the one that's coming next. He's all that's on my mind. He's like the guy with the longest records in Bellator, and he's just one of the all-time greats, you know. Outside of the UFC, he's regarded as some of the pound-for-pound best. And if I want my name up in that discussion, that's the type of fight I would want. So he's my answer for both. Fan and for me.
That's a good
As
one.
a fan, you should want to see it. You wanted me to bring that Canadian,
definitely,
that belt back to Canada.
I'd love to see that. And before we wrap up here and let you go, how can our viewers here at Sportskeeda MMA stay up to date with everything you're doing and follow you on social media?
Biggest thing is Instagram. Jeremy Kennedy 145. That's where most of my content goes. So if you want to stay in the loop and up to date, definitely hit me up on there.
Highly recommend that follow. And Jeremy, I really appreciate you coming on here and talking about your recent win there. And I wish you all the best. And hopefully you'll get that title shot against Patricio Pitbull. Thanks a lot.
Man, you can wish. Yes, sir. Thank you.